Okay. Okay. Quick video about the urbanization mapping in Google Earth that's part of Lab One. Um, First of all, I did not mention because I didn't remember that Google Earth is actually already available on the lab computers, so you can either download it following the link that's in the announcement, or you can just use remote desktop if you prefer. So I'm remote desktop into my lab computer right now, and I've got Google Earth that just opened up for me. So we're in Lab 1, and the first part of Lab 1 is exactly what we did in class today. But the second sub part 2, I guess, is using visual clues and measurement tools to estimate the urban extent in China. And so if we'd had more time, would have shown you a little demo, would have practiced, ideally, trying to map Las Vegas in the same way, as an example. So you'll want to read this information just about kind of the challenges of determining what's considered urban and not urban first. This is just a snippet of Northwest DC that includes AU campus right here. And, on one hand, you think, well, it's inside the city limits of DC, therefore it is urban. So that's fine. That is one definition of urban, it is inside the boundaries of a city. But as far as a lot of environmental impacts are concerned, what is equally or more important is the actual built environment. So how densely built up and is an environment with buildings and roads, and how much vegetation has been taken away. So that contributes to things like the urban heat island effect. So in this case, what we're trying to do in this exercise is actually kind of draw lines around in our study area what is urban and what is not. And so in this area, this is just to show you, it'd be tough. It'd be tough to figure that out. And let's jump over to other examples where it is a little bit easier. So this is the same kind of workflow that you will follow for Nanjing, but I'm going to do right now for Las Vegas. So you type in the city that you're looking for, Nanjing, China, or Las Vegas, Nevada. It's going to zoom you in, and it's going to give us, roughly a present day image. Let's see if it gives you, not seeing the image date on this quite yet, but this is going to be the most up-to-date image that they have available, so probably from 2020. And you can see, like, okay, when we're zoomed out a bit, in a place like Vegas, you really can see oh, now I can see what year this is. The image is actually 2021, so super recent. You can see that it wouldn't be that hard to draw a circle around what constitutes an urban area. And our goal here is to actually do that, but at a bunch of different times in order to show two things, mainly to show urban growth, but also we're going to compile all of the information from all of you, and each of you are going to map each year. And so there's going to be some within year variability the main thing it's going to show is the subjectivity and the challenge of measuring urban extent. So a couple key tools that you'll need. First and foremost, to go back in history, this is why you have to download the software rather than just using the web version, because of this button. So show historical imagery. And now you can see this slider bar. That's kind of cool in Vegas because it goes pretty far back. Go all the way back to 1950, but you can see there's only these little aerial images that are available, black and white aerial imagery. So we don't want that. We are going to be focusing on all of these very even increments after 1984. So there should be one per year. that's Landsat data. Landsat started recording in 1984, and so that's a great way to look at change over time. So your goal here ultimately is going to be for a series of like 5 or 6 specific years that show up in a spreadsheet that I'll show you right now. So that show up in this Google sheet. Let's go there. This is going to be where you're recording the areas of urban extent in Nanjing. And you'll start by putting your name down here. So whatever, down these squares, and you're going to take measurements for 5-year increments. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And you're going to put in your measurements in square kilometers with no units in there so that this spreadsheet can do math. Okay, so let's go back for now. That's getting ahead of ourselves. Okay, so we're at the place where we're looking at, this slider bar of imagery. This is Nanjing down here. So how are we going to do this for Vegas? Well, first of all, let's find the year. So let's start with 1984. And just let's compare that to 2016. Look, it changes a lot, right? We know Vegas is a quickly urbanizing city. Okay, so we've got our extent, and you don't want to really zoom in any more than this. Because if you zoom in any more, there'll be too many details that you'll worry yourself with, and we don't want you to have to do that. And also, you'll start to bring up this higher resolution imagery, which just kind of gets in the way. So you want to really zoom out until you can get a decent look at the whole urban extent. So this might be fine. So yeah, my lesson here is do not be too detailed in your drawing of this urban extent. So let's draw it. So here's what you need to do. Click on this Add Polygon button. I might title this 1984. And before I do anything, I'll probably change the color of the lines to something I can see. And, oops, just make it not filled. This will just make your life easier. Now leave this box open. And then you got your little crosshairs here. Click and hold, and just quickly draw a rough image. That's it. Do not try harder than that. With the power of crowdsourcing, we'll get kind of a mean estimate of everyone's somewhat crappy drawing. So after you do that, you can go over to measurements and look at square kilometers. And here I got 306 square kilometers. So that's my final answer for 1984. So 306, and then I would just go ahead and put that over in the spreadsheet. So let's open it in a new tab this time. Be smart about this. So I would put that 306. But remember, this is for Nanjing. This is Nanjing, the real lab. So that's why it's a 102 versus a 306. So then I could click OK, and I could save that one if I want to. Doesn't really matter. And then I would advance to 1989, and I would make another one. In fact, I would recommend actually unchecking this so that you're not biased by what you've already done. But it's kind of up to you. So you're just going to do that a few times, and eventually we'll come up with this overall image of or depiction of growth that we can actually chart. So you can do this at any time when you're working on the lab. For one of the questions, you should wait until like the last day before this lab is due to come back here and get some final answers. And these answers are going to compile on the results tab. It's going to make a chart based on what all of you guys have entered into these cells. So please don't lollygag on this too much, but by the last day, there should be enough data to get some information from these results. That's it for now. Thanks.